What's happening, everybody? I'm Todd Tanner. This is Wrestling News Now. What you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania runs wild on you? Tonight on the program, I will be profiling the life and the career of Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. Before I begin on tonight, would you kindly like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, Wrestling News Now? If you like the content, hit the like button for me, then become a subscriber. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, I can't reveal all the plans I have, but we're going to be doing some exciting things. It all begins with Wrestling News Now. And believe me, you're going to want to be a part of what we're going to be doing. It's going to be exciting, entertaining, it's going to be fun. This channel is dedicated to bringing to you the most in-depth coverage of your favorite wrestlers or sports entertainers. See, what I do, I'm different from the rest of the individuals with wrestling programs. I like to go behind the scenes and go into the lives of individuals. Who are they? How did they get their start? Where did they come from? Where did they get their style, their names from? Are they original? Are they copied? Or are they reincarnated? Because sometimes that's what happens. Just because an individual's copies somebody doesn't mean that they can't make it their own. So tonight, I'm talking about Hulk Hogan, the man who is responsible for single-handedly changing the spectrum and the scope of sports entertainment. Terry Eugene Bollea was born on the 11th of August of 1953. Better known by his ring name, Hulk Hogan, is an American retired professional wrestler and television personality. He is widely regarded as the most recognized wrestling star worldwide and the most popular wrestler of the 1980s. Hogan began his professional wrestling career in 1977, but gained worldwide recognition after signing for World Wrestling Federation, the WWF, now known as WWE. In 1983, there his persona as a heroic All-American helped usher in the 1980s professional wrestling boom, where he headlined 8 of the first 9 editions of WWF's flagship annual event, WrestleMania. During his initial run, he won the WWF Championship 5 times, with his first reign being the second longest in the championship history. He is the first wrestler to win consecutive Royal Rumble matches, winning in 1990 and 1991. In 1993, Hogan departed the WWF to sign for rival promotion World Championship Wrestling, known as WCW. He won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship 6 times and holds the record for the longest reign in 1996. He underwent a career renaissance upon adopting the villainous persona of Hollywood Hulk Hogan, leading the popular New World Order NWO stable. As a result, he became a major figure during the Monday Night Wars, another boom of mainstream professional wrestling. He headlined WCW's annual flagship event Starrcade 3 times, including the most profitable WCW pay-per-view ever, Starrcade 1997. You know, this is going to get deep. So stay with me, pay attention. You listen. You're going to learn some things about Hulk Hogan you never knew before. Hogan returned to the WWF in 2002 following its acquisition of WCW the prior year, winning the undisputed WWF Championship for a record equaling for the year 6 times before departing in 2003. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005 and inducted a second time in 2020 as a member of the NWO. Hogan also performed for the American Wrestling Association, or the AWA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, or NJPW, where he won the original IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, TNA, now known as Impact Wrestling. During and after wrestling, Hogan had an extensive acting career, beginning with his 1982 cameo role in Rocky III. He has starred in several films including No Holds Barred, Suburban Commando, and Mr. Nanny, and 3 television shows, Hogan Knows Best, Thunder in Paradise, and China Ill, as well as in Right Guard commercials and the video game Hulk Hogan's Main Event. He was the frontman for the wrestling boot band, whose sole record, Hulk Hogan Rules, reached number 12 on the Billboard Top Kid Audio chart in 1995. Terry Eugene Bollea was born in Augusta, Georgia on August 11, 1953. The son of construction foreman Pietro Peter Bollea, who was born December 6, 1913, and passed away on the 18th of December of 2001, of Italian descent, and homemaker and dance teacher Ruth V. Moody, who was born 1922 and who transitioned on the 1st of January of 2011. Bollea of Scottish and French descent. When he was 1.5 years old, his family moved to Port Tampa, Florida. As a boy, he was a pitcher in Little League Baseball. He attracted scouts from the New York Yankees and the Cincinnati Reds. But an injury ended his baseball career. He began watching professional wrestling at 16 years old. While in high school, he revered Dusty Rhodes, and he regularly attended cards at the Tampa Sportatorium. It was at one of those wrestling cards where he first turned his attention towards superstar Billy Graham and looked to him for inspiration. Since he first saw Graham on TV, Hogan wanted to match his inhuman look. Hogan was also a musician, spending a decade playing fretless band guitar in several Florida-based rock bands. He went on to study at Hillsborough Community College and the University of South Florida. After music gigs began to get in the way of his time in college, Hogan decided to drop out of the University of South Florida before receiving a degree. Eventually, Hogan and 2 local musicians formed a band called Ruckus in 1976. The band soon became popular in the Tampa Bay region. During his spare time, Hogan worked out at Hector's Gym in the Tampa Bay area, where he began lifting. Many of the wrestlers who were competing in the Florida region visited the bars where Ruckus was performing. Among those attending his performances were Jack and Gerald Briscoe, 2 brothers who wrestled together as a tag team in the Florida region. Impressed by Hogan's physical stature, the Briscoe brothers asked Hiro Masuta, the man who trained wrestlers working for Championship Wrestling from Florida, or the CWF, to make him a potential trainee. In 1976, the 2 brothers asked Hogan to try wrestling. Hogan eventually agreed. At first, however, Mike Graham, the son of CWF promoter Eddie Graham, refused to put Hogan in the ring. According to Hogan, he met Graham while in high school, and the 2 did not get along. However, after Hogan quit Ruckus and started telling people in town that he was going to be a wrestler, Graham finally agreed to accept the Briscoe brothers' request. In mid-1977, after training for more than a year with Masuda, the Briscoe brothers dropped by Masuda's gym to see Hogan. During his visit, Jack Briscoe handed Hogan a pair of wrestling boots and informed him that he was scheduled to wrestle his first match the following week. In his professional wrestling debut, Eddie Graham booked him against Brian Blair in Fort Myers, Florida on August 10, 1977 in CWF. A short time later, Bollea donned a mask and assumed the persona of the Super Destroyer, a hooded character first played by Don Jardine and subsequently used by other wrestlers. Hogan eventually could no longer work with Hiro Matsuda, whom he felt was an overbearing trainer, and left CWF. After declining the offer to wrestle for the Kansas City circuit, Hogan took a hiatus from wrestling and managed the Anchor Club, a private club in Cocoa Beach, Florida, for a man named Whitney Bridges. Eventually, Whitney and Hogan became close friends and decided to open a gym together. The gym became known as Whitney and Terry's Olympic Gym. Soon after, Hogan's friend Ed Leslie, known as Brutus Beefcake, came to Cocoa Beach to help Hogan and Bridges manage both the Anchor Club and the Whitney and Terry Olympic Gym. In his spare time, he and Leslie worked out in the gym together, and eventually Beefcake developed a muscular physique. Hogan was impressed by Beefcake's physical stature and became convinced that the two of them should wrestle together as tag team partners. Depressed and yearning to return to wrestling, Hogan called superstar Billy Graham in 1978 with hopes that Graham would find him a job wrestling outside of Florida. Graham agreed, and Hogan joined Louis Tillett's Alabama territory. Hogan also convinced Leslie, who had yet to become a wrestler, to come with him and promised to teach him everything he knew about the sport. In Alabama, Bollea and Leslie wrestled as Terry and Ed Boulder, known as the Boulder Brothers. These early matches as tag team with the surname Boulder being used by both men promoted a rumor among wrestling fans unaware of the inner workings of the sport that Hogan and Leslie were brothers, as few people actually knew their real names outside of immediate friends, family, and the various promoters the two worked together for. After wrestling a show for Continental Wrestling Association in Memphis, Jerry Jarrett, the promoter for CWA, approached Hogan and Leslie and offered them a job in his promotion for $800 a week. This was far more than the $175 a week they would make working for Tillett. Hogan and Leslie accepted this offer and left Tillett's territory. During his time in Memphis, Hogan appeared on a local talk show where he sat beside Lou Ferrigno, star of the television series The Incredible Hulk. The host commented on how Hogan, who stood 6 feet 7 inches or 201 centimeters and weighed 295 pounds with 24-inch biceps, actually dwarfed the Hulk. Watching the show backstage, Mary Jarrett noticed that Hogan was actually bigger than Ferrigno, who was well known at the time for having large muscles. As a result, Bollea began performing as Terry the Hulk Boulder, and sometime wrestled as Sterling Golden. On December 1st, 1979, Bollea won his first professional championship, the NWA Southeastern Heavyweight Championship, Northern Division, recognized in Alabama and Tennessee when he defeated Bob Rope in Knoxville, Tennessee. Boulder would drop the title in January 1980 to Bob Armstrong. Bollea briefly wrestled in the Georgia Championship Wrestling, or the GCW territory, from September to 1979 as Sterling Golden. Later that year, the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Terry Funk introduced Bollea to the company owner-promoter Vincent J. McMahon, who was impressed with his charisma and physical stature. McMahon, who wanted to use an Irish name, gave Bollea, pardon me, I don't want to mess this up, my bad, my apologies. McMahon, who wanted to use an Irish name, gave Bollea the last name Hogan, and also wanted him to dye his hair red. Hogan claims his hair was already beginning to fall out by that time, and he refused to dye it, simply replying, "I'll be a blind Irish." Hogan wrestled his first match in the World Wrestling Federation of WWF on November 17th, defeating Harley Valdez on Championship Wrestling. He made his first appearance at Madison Square Garden, defeating Ted DiBiase after a bear hug. After the match, Hogan thanked DiBiase for putting him over and told him that he owed him a favor that he would end up repaying during DiBiase's second run with the company in the late 1980s and early 1990s as the $1 Million Man. McMahon gave Hogan former tag team champion Tony Altemeyer as chaperone and guide. At this time, Hogan wrestled Bob Backlund for the WWF Heavyweight Championship, and he started his first feud with Andre the Giant, which culminated in a match with Andre at Shea Stadium in August 1980. During his initial run as a villain in the WWF, Hogan was paired with Classy Freddie Blassie, a wrestler turned manager. You know Balassi, pencil, neek, geek. That was his catchphrase. This is part one of a three-part series about Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania. For Wrestling News Now, I'm Todd Tanner. Stay tuned. Don't y'all go anywhere. I'll be back eventually. Listen, y'all, hit that like button and subscribe to Wrestling News Now.